Hi guys. Sorry. Hi guys, my name is Crystal. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Welcome old subscribers, welcome new. If you like my videos, please press the like button and please do subscribe. Good morning, it's Valentine's Day. Happy Valentine's Day to everybody. Spreading the love. Alexa, what's the time please?
It's 8:33 a.m.
Alexa, what's the date today?
It's Tuesday the 14th of February.
Alexa, what's the weather like?
Currently, in Rochester it's 3 degrees Celsius with fog. Today, you can expect lots of clouds, with a high of 12 degrees and a low of 2 degrees. Would you also like tomorrow's weather?
Yes.
Tomorrow in Rochester, you can expect intermittent clouds, with a high of 13 degrees Celsius and a low of 5 degrees.
Alexa, can you give me a love quote? Alexa, can you give me a love quote?
Here is a love quote. You've got to dance like there's nobody watching, love like you'll never be heard, sing like there's nobody listening, and live like it's heaven on earth. William W. Perky.
Alexa, can you give me another love quote?
Here is a love quote, from A Midsummer Night's Dream. Love looks not with the eyes, but with the mind, and therefore is winged Cupid painted blind.
Right guys, like I said, it's Valentine's Day. I'm single, so I don't really celebrate Valentine's Day, but I hope everybody else has a nice Valentine's Day. It is foggy outside, but it's warm. It's warmer. It's not cold with fog, it's like close and warm with fog. So last night I took Max out for a walk in the dark, like I said, and I walked around the field and I came back. I didn't keep fit or anything, I just went for a walk. To keep a healthy fit body you need to exercise, especially into old age, and I'm middle aged now and I want to have a healthy old age if possible, so I'm trying to keep my body active and not do what my mum does, which she just sits in her flat all day, and it does affect your mental health if you just sit in your flat all day and like think negative things. So I don't want to be like my mum. She's 76, she's in her flat by herself, just sat there all day. Sue comes in and my mum kindly told me that Sue had gone to parties. Sue goes out in her car. Sue does this and Sue does that. But you mustn't... This is it though. When you're indoors and you keep thinking and you're by yourself, you can get bitter and twisted and all upset, and I don't want to get like that. Other people's lives are other people's lives, they're not mine. I said to my mum, we'll just say, Sue, I'm glad you're going to a party. Sue, I'm glad you're doing this, right? Because my mum and I suffered domestic violence from my father, especially my mother has suffered a great deal. She's lived with him for 54 years, because I'm 54, I was their child, obviously. So my mum was married to my dad for 54 years, and it was 54 years of domestic violence, and you can't expect to recover from that after someone's died. Not 54 years of it. I witnessed it. He used to hit my mum, he used to shout at my mum, he used to hit me, he used to do things to me. The police had come out, they'd do nothing, they blame my mum, blame me. I know she's angry, I know she's bitter, but I'm afraid I look at it a different way. I'm not a party type myself, so I don't go to parties anyway and stuff like that. I'm quite introverted. An introvert likes their own company, likes to do their own things. but I'll speak to other people and I'll listen to other people, and I go into shops, I go into the library, I talk to Kim in the co-op. If someone wants to talk to me, I talk to them. I'm not bitter. I've had people come up to me, I'm doing this and I'm doing that, and well, good luck to you. It's not something I really would want to do anyway. Do you know what I mean? You don't get bitter and twisted. Because I get that a lot as well. Like, I feel like I'm a scapegoat. If someone gets upset, they take it out on me. So because the person hasn't got the guts to say to the person they're angry with what's wrong, they come back to me and take it out on me. I've had that a lot all my life. If someone's upset with somebody else, they take it out on me. And I don't think that's very fair. Because I'm in my flat a lot of the time. I was married, I'm divorced, I've had several failed small relationships after my divorce. I'm dealing with an ex that is bitter and twisted because I left him. That's what I believe. And still, my kids are in their 20s, and I feel he's still using them against me. But I'll get up, I'll smile. Sometimes I'm in a great deal of pain, and I come onto YouTube trying to, show other people that suffer chronic pain and that have been through abuse that you can get up in the morning. Abuse does ruin your life. It's not paranoia, it's not persecution complex, but when the police have let you down, your father, who you're supposed to trust as a child, has broken that trust. How the fuck can you trust people? It's not paranoia, and it's not a fucking persecution complex, and it's not mental illness as in they're trying to make out. What it is when you're abused as a child, you lose trust in that family member. I lost trust in the police a long time ago, and social services. And, my abusers have managed to twist things, tell the police, even get into my doctors and tell them I'm completely nuts. And it's basically to cover up what they've been doing. So, yes, my father was a paedophile. The police let him be a paedophile because every time they were called out, they either blame my mother or they blame me. Because my dad used to persuade them I've got a bad heart. My wife is stressing me out. My daughter's stressing me out. I've called the police out for domestic violence incidents. I've had a male police officer turn round to me and say, he's had a hard day. Why don't you leave him alone? He's had a hard day. He's attacked me. He's destroyed my personal belongings. But I'm supposed to worry about him because he's had a hard day. A police officer excusing domestic violence because someone's had a hard day. Now that is not fair. That is just not fair, and I will fight to the very end. I've done nothing wrong. Every time I've called the police, I've been put in a cell for what they've done, or told he's had a hard day. Why don't you go out for a walk and give him a rest when I've called the police and I've needed help? And someone going on about fake, coming out with fake cameras. The police, I had police that came out with an infrared camera on their arm and told me they were recording an incident in case it went to court. To me, that was a dummy camera, because they didn't actually interview the person that had attacked me. They didn't interview them. They didn't look for them. They didn't do anything with them, right? And I was driven to a safe place and not taken to hospital when I was actually physically harmed. There is some great conspiracy about my life and possibly my mother that the police don't do anything when we call them. And I've said before that one police officer said to my mum when my father attacked her that, could you give us £200 and we'll take you to a place of safety? My mum was elderly, she didn't have £200 in her purse. Police asking her for money. Police officers asking my mother, elderly mother, for money to take her to a place of safety. Something else I found out yesterday, because it's all coming out now, my father passed away. My mum, I was living at Lansdowne Court and the police brought my mum round to my flat. Unbeknown to me, she'd run to a neighbour. My father had attacked my mother at Victoria Road and she'd run to a neighbour across the road and asked him to help her. And he didn't help my mum. But the police were called and the police took my mother to my flat at Lansdowne Court, and I was in Chatham Library, and my son was living with me at Lansdowne Court. So I had a phone call in the library from my son who said, "Mum, your mum, Jennifer, is at the door with the police. Apparently your father's attacked your mother." So I went straight up to Lansdowne Court, and there my mum was in a terrible state. My dad had threatened to murder my mother. She was on my doorstep. The police had brought her round to a no-bed flat. I didn't have a bed for my poor mother to sleep on. So my mum, Jennifer, who was nearly 70 at the time, was sent round to a no-bed flat where I was living because my father had threatened to kill my mother and attack her. And there was 3 of us in a no-bed flat. There was me, my son, and they brought my mum round. The inept police, the inept Kent police. They hadn't arrested my dad. They didn't arrest him. He was in the house by himself, so they left a mentally ill, raging man who threatened to murder my mother in the house at Victoria Road and brought my mum round to me, and I had no room for her in my flat. My son was a teenager. I couldn't have him having no bed to sleep on. So I said, "Mum, have my bed, have my bed." And she wouldn't. So my mum was stuck on a chair for 12 hours. 12 hours sat on a chair because the police couldn't deal with my father. She was sat all night upright, an elderly lady, on a chair because the police couldn't deal with my dad. Didn't deal with him. And they left a dangerous man in a house who was tearing it up. And in a rage, they left my father, who obviously was a psychopath, in the house tearing it up. And brought my mum to me, and she slept on a chair all night. She rang 12 domestic violence refugees, 12 to try and escape my abusive dad, and not one of them would offer her somewhere to stay. So she was forced to go back to a man that had threatened to murder her and was abusing her because the police didn't arrest my father or anything for threatening to kill her. They didn't even arrest him. They didn't question him. They just left him in a house, a psychopath. And she went back to him because I remember walking back with my mum the following day, and there my dad was. She carried an enormous black bag. I was walking with her right from Lansdowne Court to Victoria Road, and there my father was. Got away with it again. And I guarantee you now, if I call the police for anything, they won't do a fucking thing. They won't do a sodding thing to help. Not one thing. Now, someone's allowing this to happen. Me and my mum both deserve compensation and to know why all this is being covered up. Okay? It's Valentine's Day. Me and my mum are on our own because my father abused us all our lives and has made us feel worthless, useless, and left us with nothing. And he probably died with a smile on his face because the police did fuck all to help both of us. See you later.